Hello everyone, good afternoon and welcome back to the GDC English classes. In this video, we're going to have another live session on Pharma Rank Booster, right? And your Pharma Rank Booster is what? Is your series. And now which series? In which we do the complete pharmacology revision, right? How are you guys? How are you guys? How are you everyone? How are you everyone? Give me attendance fast, fast, fast. Give me attendance. Give me a thumbs up or say a hi. Say a hi. चलो. Give me attendance or say a hi so that I can know whoever is present over here. Huh? Chalo, chalo, come on, fast. Good afternoon, Subhashri. Good afternoon. और कौन है यहाँ पे? हाँ? Say a hi, guys. Say a hi. Hi. Mm, so that we can, you know, interact much. No one. Okay, fine. Now let's start with this one. Anna. In this one, we're gonna have diuretics and anti-diuretics, right? So diuretics are what? What are diuretics, guys? Anyone can tell me? What is diuretics? Hmm? What are diuretics? Anyone? What are diuretics? Hi, Samima. Sarin. Anyone? What are diuretics, guy? What do you understand by the diuretics and antidiuretics? That's what I'm talking about over here. Hmm? Chalo, come on, fast, tell me. Hi, guys. Double the urine output. Okay, diuretic. Okay, double the urine output. Okay, that's a nice one. Anybody else? Anybody else? Wanna say something? Hmm. Anybody else wanna say something? Yes or no? Yep. No. So fine. So diuretics are the drug which increases the urine output, right? Which is increases the desirable urine output, है ना? थोड़ा सा ज़्यादा वो निकालते हैं, urine को निकालते हैं, है ना? And which organ is responsible for the urinary action? That's your kidney, right? Kidney serves as a natural filter of the blood and removal of waste product. Whatever is present inside our body, that is blood only, right? That is blood only, and that is only get filtered through kidney, from the glomerulus part of the nephron, and then waste get removed, right? Excretion of water and sodium, that's a uresis. That's right, that's right, that's right. Uresis. Now nephron is what? Nephron is the functional unit of kidney. जैसे कि cell and functional cell जो होता है, cell is the fundamental unit of life. That's why nephron is also a kind of the functional unit of kidney. Okay. Now diuresis, in which condition where urine outflow is getting increased, right? That's your diuresis. And urine formation begin with glomerular filtration, है ना? And where does it glomerulus filtration? Where does it happen? At the glomerulus only, right? At the glomerulus, है ना? That's a sieve-like shape, like that's a sieve-like shape, glomerulus, right? Volume filter is about 180 liter per day, 180 liter per day, which more than 99% gets reabsorbed in the renal tubule, right? 180 liters per day that is being filtered, right? Hmm? Which more than 99% gets reabsorbed, out of which more than 99% gets reabsorbed in the tubules. That means, that means 1 to 2 liter, 1 to 2 liter, या 1.8 लीटर टू 2 लीटर के आसपास ही हमारा जो है दिन भर में that is going to excrete out from the body, right? Can you tell me why this is this much? Why 180 liter? We don't have that kind of amount of blood in ourselves, right? Anna, we don't have that much amount of blood in ourselves, but still it is 180 liter. Why? Why it is showing 180 liter? Which we only have 5 to 6 liter of blood. Hmm? We only have 5 to 6 liters of blood. Then why it is only 180 liter present over here? Huh? Anyone? Hmm? Why 180 liter per day? No one. See guys, what happens inside our body? The heart continuously pumps the blood, right? And in 1 minute, 5 to 6 liter gets pumped. In 1 minute only, that's your cardiac output, है ना? So we do have a lots of minutes in the 24 hours, right? So that is around 180 liter that is being pumped out, and that is also get filtered from the glomerulus, out of which 99% gets reabsorbed. And from where does it reabsorb? That's your PCT, proximal convoluted tubule say it gets reabsorbed, right? Urine excretion is about 1.5 liter per day. That's what I'm talking about. 1 to 2 liter के आसपास में रहता है. Okay. Now, functions of kidney. What is the functions of kidney? Regulatory, excretory, and hormonal. Right? You're not able to answer, guys. Isn't it? Hmm? You don't want to answer? Fine, fine, fine. Regulatory, excretory. Regulatory, acid-base fluid and electrolyte balance and detoxification takes place. Right? That's your detoxification takes place over there. Excretory, excreted of the nitrogenous waste products, urea, right? Hormonal, activation of vitamin D and production of renin as well as the erythropoietin, right? Erythropoietin is a what? Hormone that is secreted from kidney, right? The mechanism of action of urine formation, it consists of the following. It consists of the following steps. These are the glomerular filtration, tubular reabsorption, active tubular secretion, right? So glomerular filtration happens in your glomerulus, right? It occurs in your glomerulus. Tubular reabsorption in your PCT, right? In your PCT. Active tubular secretion. Where active tubular secretion takes place, guys? Can anyone tell me? Where active tubular secretion takes place? Anyone? Loop of Henle. Radhakrishnan, no. Active tubular secretion. Here it is written only. See? See? That's your distal convoluted tubule, Subhashri. How much time you wanna take to answer, guys? Huh? How much time you wanna take to answer? It's written over here. Distal convoluted tubule, right? DCT पे active tubular secretion होता है. That's it. Simple, right? So what happens? This is your efferent nerve, and that's your efferent nerve, right? Afferent nerve, है ना? Afferent nerves takes the blood towards the glomerulus, whereas efferent goes outside, right? Glomerulus goes outside. It takes away from the glomerulus, right? That's your efferent one. Hmm? Okay. So these are your veins, afferent nerve and efferent nerves. Okay. Now what happens after that? Glomerular filtration. Here the size of the drug matters, right? Here the size of the drug matters. Size of drug. है ना? If it is gets protein binded, then it will not be able to filter out from glomerular capsule, right? It will not be able to filter out from glomerular capsule. But if somehow it get filtered, now this is the place where tubular reabsorption happens. And what is the tubular reabsorption? Tubular reabsorption is the place where the essential nutrients. Can you name some essential nutrients of our body? Can you name some essential nutrients of our body? Hmm? Anyone? Essential nutrients of our body, what are them? What are those? Glucose, right? Glucose, amino acids, some proteins as well, है ना? Those are your some essential ones, है ना? Which are need to be reabsorbed, electrolytes for sure, that's right, है ना? So they get reabsorbed from the PCT wala side, है ना? After that, this is a loop, right? And this is the loop which is this one is descending loop of Henle, and this one is ascending loop of Henle, right? Now, now this is your distal convoluted tubule where tubular secretion takes place, right? Where tubular secretion takes place. After that, there's a collecting duct where all urine and all the urinary components that needs to be excreted gets accumulated over here, and it goes outside. That's your excreted. Okay, is it all right till now? Is it all right till now? Hmm? Is it all right till now, guys? Give me a thumbs up. Give me a thumbs up if it is all right till now. Yes? Okay. Now let's talk about the sites of nephron, है ना? So we have talked about the plenty of sites, and there's a time to name that site, right? So site 1 is your proximal convoluted tubule, that's your PCD, right? PCT. Thick ascending limb, tall of loop amylae, that's your site 2. Site 3, cortical diluting segment of loop of Henle and early distal tubule. Site 4, distal convoluted tubule DCT and collecting duct, right? These are your site 4. Okay. Now there's the same thing, है ना? There's the same thing. Here you can see site 1, that's your proximal convoluted tubule. Site 2, that's your thick ascending loop of Henle. Thick wala ascending loop of Henle. Site 3 is your DCT. Sorry, diluting segment of loop of Henle and early DCT, and type 4 is your DCT, distal convoluted tubule. Okay. Now this one is important. This one is important. Do note it down. Very important, right? This is very important. Carbonic anhydrase inhibitor, CA, proximal convoluted tubule. Okay. Proximal convoluted tubule, inhibition of the bicarbonate reabsorption. And you know that bicarbonate is responsible for the buildup of the increased blood volume. If it is going to increase the blood volume, BP will be increased again, right? So carbonic anhydrase inhibitor should be given. And can you name some examples of carbonic anhydrase, guys? Carbonic anhydrase inhibitor. Can you name some carbonic anhydrase inhibitor? Hmm? Chalo, guys, come on. Acetazolamide, very good. है ना? Carbonic anhydrase inhibitor are bad, right? B is your brenzolamide, A is your acetazolamide, D is your dorazolamide, right? है ना? Efficacy is somewhat low over there and can also be used in glaucoma kind of condition, right? Now, loop diuretics, these are high ceiling, highly efficacious. Highly efficacious. Thick ascending loop of Henle. Thick ascending loop of Henle inhibits the sodium potassium 2 chloride co-transporter. Why? Because you know that sodium and water retention takes place, right? Water retention takes place and that increases the blood volume. So you have to inhibit this one. So you have to inhibit this one, and sodium will be going outside. Sodium will be going outside, right? Now thiazides, early distilled convoluted tubule, that's your site 3. That's your site 3. Inhibit the sodium chloride symport, that's your medium, right? Potassium sparing diuretics, late distal converted tubule and collecting duct, that your site 4, right? Competitive and aldosterone antagonist, है ना? Aldosterone antagonist. Which drug is known to be as the aldosterone antagonist, guys? Chalo, come on fast. Which drug is known to be as the aldosterone antagonist? Hmm? Which drug is known to be as the aldosterone antagonist? Spironolactone. Very nice, very nice, Radhakrishna. Hana, the spironolactone is a competitive aldosterone antagonist. It inhibits of sodium reabsorption and potassium secretion. Subhashri, very nice, है ना? And that has a low efficacy. Okay, chalo. Now this one, that's the same kind of a thing, है ना? Part 1, that's your proximal convoluted tubule, है ना? Most of the filtered sodium is going to be reabsorbed over here, है ना? Proximal convoluted tubule. तो यहाँ पे हम कौन सी देते हैं? Carbonic anhydrase को यहाँ पे we do put over there, है ना? Which plays an important role in sodium hydrogen exchange and helps in the reabsorption of bicarbonate. So water gets reabsorbed, so tubular fluid in the PCT remains isotonic. Okay, that remains isotonic, and isotonicity, that's an important one. Okay, part 2, thick ascending loop of Henle. यहाँ पे हम क्या करते हैं? But highly permeable to sodium and 2 chloride, right? Impermeable to water but highly permeable to sodium and 2 chloride. तो हम यहाँ पे क्या देंगे? Loop of Henle. Loop है ना? Loop of Henle पे तो loop diuretics, right? So active reabsorption of sodium and chloride occurs by sodium potassium 2 chloride co-transporter, and calcium and magnesium is also reabsorbed at this site. So this is selectively blocked by the loop diuretics. and that's why it causes the hypocalcemia and hypomagnesemia, right? Hypocalcemia and hypomagnesemia. Part 3, cortical diluting segment of the loop of Henle and early DCT. Early DCT. It is impermeable to water, but sodium and chloride are reabsorbed with the help of sodium chloride symphoter. With the sodium chloride symphoter. This is blocked by the thiazides, right? Thiazides. And actively reabsorption of calcium ion by sodium calcium exchanger takes place. Yeah, same goes with this one, guys, है ना? Late distal converted tubule and collecting duct and drug on descending on the loop of Henle. That's your osmotic diuretics. Okay, that is known to you very much. Okay, so now this one, classification of drug, high ceiling loop diuretics. That's going to be a furosemide, bumetanide, torsemide, and ethacrenic acid. So there is a one thing that you have to remember, that loop diuretic can cause ototoxicity. Okay, that's a adverse drug reaction of loop diuretics. That's your ototoxicity. That is very much known to be associated with high ceiling diuretic. That's a loop diuretics. Furosemide is a drug of choice, and I write it down. Furosemide is a drug of choice in renal failure. In renal failure, right? Agar you have a renal failure, then furosemide can also be used over there. Okay, that's one. That's one. Right? Bumetanide, torsemide, ethacrenic acid. These are your loop diuretics. Medium efficacy, benzothiazidines and thiazide-like diuretics. Benzothiazidines, that's your hydrochlorothiazides, hydrofluorothiazides, and benzthiazide, right? These are your benzthiazidine. Okay. Now thiazide diuretics, chlorthalidone, metazolone, zepamide, indipamide, and clopamide. Okay, these are your thiazide-like diuretics. Now, weak one. Weak one here is you have carbonic anhydrase inhibitor are bad, right? Acetazolamide, dorzolamide, as well as the brinzolamide. Brinzolamide, right? Acetazolamide is a drug of choice for mountain sickness as well. Acetazolamide is a drug of choice for mountain sickness as well, right? Potassium sparing diuretics, they spare the potassium. They spare the potassium, right? And let the other things out. So aldosterone antagonist, specifically we do have what? Spironolactone and eplerenone, right? And what is the active metabolite of spironolactone, guys? Hmm? What is the active metabolite of spironolactone? Hmm? Active metabolite of spironolactone, guys. Simple. Canrenone. If you remember, canrenone, right? Spironolactone का active metabolite, that's your canrenone, right? Now, osmotic diuretics, mannitol, isosorbide, and glycerol. These are being used as a osmotic diuretic and well placed under the phenomena of osmosis, right? What is the difference between osmosis and passive diffusion? What is the difference between diffusion and osmosis, guys? RN zaps. Hi, 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 hi. Okay, come on, chalo, come on fast. What is the difference between osmosis and good afternoon, Aryan? है ना? What is the difference between this one? Diffusion and osmosis? That's what I'm asking. High to low. concentration gradient, that's your diffusion, okay. And high to low concentration, that's your diffusion, है ना. लो टू हाई करेंगे तो वो हो जाएगा, है ना, osmosis. That's going to be osmosis. In osmosis there is another thing that you use, guys, that's your semi permeable membrane, right? That is also being used over there. Okay, chalo. Now important points. Here you can see acetazolamide is a prototype drug of carbonic anhydrase inhibitors class, right? Acetazolamide are non-competitive inhibitor, carbonic anhydrase inhibitor that only inhibits the luminal carbonic anhydrase enzyme, right? And carbonic anhydrase inhibitor are contraindicated in liver disease, can cause the hepatic coma, and can cause hepatic encephalopathy. Hepatic encephalopathy. Encephalopathy, right? Acetazolamide is your sulfonamide derivative, right? Now, loop diuretics, both block both positive and negative free water clearance, while thiazole diuretics reduce positive free water clearance but has no effect in negative free water clearance. Diuretic of choice in moderate to severe renal failure. I told you, है ना, renal failure में कौन सा होता है? That's your loop diuretics, which is your furosemide. Furosemide. Most potent loop diuretic, that's your bumetanide, guys. Okay. Chalo. Highly toxic ethacrenic acid. That's why they are banned. Ethacrenic acid is banned just because of the ototoxicity. है ना. Longest half life torsemide. Torsemide आजकल इसका वो भी आता है ना, डाइटोर 4 mg और 8 mg के आसपास का, है ना, डाइटोर 4 mg और 8 mg. They do market these drugs, right? Drug of choice for lithium induced diabetes insipidus. What is diabetes insipidus and what is the difference between diabetes insipidus and your diabetes mellitus? What is the difference between that one? Hmm? What's the difference between that one? Diabetes insipidus and diabetes mellitus. Lithium do induce the diabetes insipidus, but what is that? Diabetes insipidus is what? Hmm? Diabetes insipidus is what? Chalo, come on fast. Hmm? What is diabetes insipidus? Anyone, anyone of you can tell me. शैलेश कुमार, चलो बताओ, तुम बता दो यार, है ना. आर्यन, चलो, come on, give me the answer. Frequent urination. हम्म. नहीं. फ्रीक्वेंट यूरिनेशन एडीएच का खत्म हो जाता, हाँ, फ्रीक्वेंटेशन, हाँ, करेक्ट करेक्ट, तब तो ठीक है. ठीक है. तो what happens in diabetes insipidus, that's your ADH gets decreased, right? Your ADH, that's your antidiuretic hormone gets decreased, right? And that leads to frequent urination. That's that Radhakrishnan says, Hana. That's why amiloride is acting as a drug of choice for lithium-induced diabetes insipidus. That's right. Okay. Now, aldosterone antagonists act as an interstitial site of tubular cell, whereas where all other diuretics are from the luminal site. Okay, that's important. Dorzolamide and brinzolamide are usually topically for the glaucoma, right? You know that carbonic anhydrase inhibitor are also useful there also, right? Excessive use of diuretics can cause hypovolemic shock because more amount of the liquid will be going outside from your body. So obviously your blood volume gets affected over there, right? So hypovolemic shock can be precipitate. Metalozone. Metalozole is the only thiazide which effective in the severe renal failure. This is important. Okay, thiazide की बात कर रहा हूँ यहाँ पर. This is the only thiazide. Furosemide is to use, है ना. Loop diuretics are very much used in severe renal failure. But metalozone is not the loop diuretic. It is thiazide, right? Now, hypokalemia. reduction of serum potassium level, hyperkalemia, increase serum potassium level, right? Now, this is important. This is important, right? Carbonic anhydrase inhibitor, acidosis, metabolic acidosis, it can do. It can do metabolic acidosis. Why? Because they will reabsorb the bicarbonate ion, and bicarbonate ion is your acidic one, right? Chalo. Thiazide and thiazide like one. These are hyperuricemia. Hyperuricemia uric acid का production बढ़ाएगा. Hypokalemia and hypercalcemia. Okay. तो this one was what? Hypokalemia. Potassium को जाने देगा. Hypercalcemia. That means calcium will be reabsorbed over here. In loop diuretics, hypokalemia as well as hypocalcemia as well. Hypocalcemia as well. Ototoxicity तो है ही. Ethacrenic acid is the one which has highest ototoxicity. Potassium sparing, hyperkalemia. Why? Because they will spare that one, so hyperkalemia, right? Osmotic diuretics, hypovolemia and hypotension can takes place, right? Can you tell me guys कि loop diuretics के साथ में can we give digoxin? Can we give digoxin with the loop diuretics? Can we give the loop diuretics with digoxin? Anyone? Anyone? Hmm. Can we use the potassium? Oh, can we use the loop diuretics with this one, digoxin? Can we use that one? No. Why? 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 Why can't we use that? It potentiates the digoxin toxicity. Very good. Very good, Radhakrishna. Very good. Chalo. Now let's talk about this one, antidiuretics. Okay, antidiuretics definition and important points. Antidiuretics are those drugs that reduces the urine volume excretion without affecting the salt excretion, particularly in the diabetes insipidus, right? Particularly in diabetes insipidus. And if you remember, ADH is also known as your vasopressin, right? Vasopressin. And ADH and vasopressin are your non-peptide, right? Non-peptide, and it is released from the posterior pituitary. It is released from posterior pituitary gland. Posterior pituitary gland, right? Nonapeptide secreted by posterior pituitary along with oxytocin. Nonapeptide. Nonapeptide secreted by posterior pituitary. Nonapeptide, sir. It's not non-peptide. Nonapeptide secreted by posterior pituitary along with oxytocin, right? Nonapeptide. It's not non-peptide, it's a nonapeptide. Okay. Drug causing 𝘂𝐸𝑎𝑑. 𝘂𝐸𝑎𝑑. We can stop me. We can stop me. Vasopressin, pressin, vincristine. Chlorpropamide, carbamazepine, nicotine, SSRI, 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 TCA, oxytocin, phenothiazine, MAO inhibitors, right? These are the ones which can cause the 𝘂𝐸𝑎𝑑. Okay, chalo. ADH vasopressin. So we do have plenty of kind of receptors over there. V1 receptor, V1A, V1B, and V2 receptors, right? Chalo. V1A, blood vessel vasoconstriction, liver, glycogenolysis, platelet aggregation, visceral smooth muscle. Okay, that's your V1A, and V1B also called as the V3 receptor. Okay, this one is important. They can ask like V3 receptor V3 receptor is also called as the V1 receptor, V1b to be precise, V1b, right? That's an important, okay? And that is present in your anterior pituitary release of ACTH, that is responsible for that one, okay? V2, kidney and increase the water permeability, and that is where the antidiuretic drugs, right? Antidiuretic drug acts on V2 receptor, tolvaptan, है ना? Tolvaptan. That's a V2 antagonist. V2 antagonist. Okay? चलो. The classification of drug: antidiuretic hormone, vasopressin. Vasopressin analog, desmopressin, lipressin, and terlipressin. Yeah, desmopressin, if you remember, it can be used in your nocturnal enurences. Nocturnal enurences, right? Nocturnal enurences is what? Is your bedwetting, है ना? That is generally done. That is generally done by the childrens, है ना? At the night during the time of sleeping, right? Natriuretic, thiazide, and thiazide is the one which acting paradoxical in nature, Amiloride is itself a thiazide like diuretic, right? No, it is not thiazide like diuretic. That's a sodium channel epithelial. That one along with triamterene, है ना? So trimiloride is a drug of choice for diabetes insipidus, lithium induced diabetes insipidus. Miscellaneous endomethacin, chlorpropamide, and carbamazepine, that is also been used over here. Okay, now this one is very much important, guys. This one is very much important. Yeah, drug of choice for various kidney related disorders. Edema due to CHF, that's your furosemide. Furosemide ड्यू टू CHF, furosemide हम उसमें यूज करते हैं एडिमा में, राइट? एडिमा ड्यू टू रीनल और नेफ्रोटॉक्सिक डिसीजेस, दैट्स योर फ्यूरोसामाइड, है ना? CHF, सॉरी, क्या कह रहे हैं, रीनल फेल्योर, राइट? रीनल फेल्योर में फ्यूरोसामाइड इज बीइंग यूज्ड ओवर देयर. पल्मोनरी एडिमा में फ्यूरोसामाइड इज बीइंग यूज्ड हियर. सेरेब्रल एडिमा में मैनिडोल इज यूज्ड, whereas मैनिडोल is the contraindicated in pulmonary edema. Okay, edema due to cirrhosis, spironolactone. Central diabetic insipidus, desmopressin. Nephrogenic diabetes insipidus, thiazide. Lithium induced diabetes insipidus, amiloride. We talked about nocturnal enurences. Here it comes, है ना? So here that desmopressin. CAD, fluid restriction, hypertonic saline, as well as the furosemide. That takes place, right? Now, these are your important points, guys. है ना? Important points. Here you can see vasopressin. Vasopressin is helper hormone to corticotropic releasing hormone because it enhances the release of the corticotropic releasing hormone. That's so CRH. है ना? To be precise, the ACTH. Right. Now, desmopressin is synthetic peptide and is selective V2 agonist and 12 times more potent than antidiuretic than arginine vasopressin. Right. Antidiuretic hormone increases the permeability of collecting duct by its action on V2 receptors. Vasoconstriction of action of ADH is by activation of V1, also called as the V receptors. Okay. Desmopressin is long acting. It is a longer acting. That's an important one. Desmopressin is longer acting and V2 selective analog of vasopressin, right? Syndrome of inappropriate ADH secretion. Syndrome of inappropriate ADH secretion. What is that condition? It is the condition in which ADH is secreted in high quantities in presence of euvolemia and hypervolemia, you can say like that. Okay. Lipressin is what? It is used in the place of ADH for V1 mediated action. Desmopressin, 2 number D, 2 number 2. Okay. Terlipressin, prodrug of vasopressin. That's an important one. Okay. Vasopressin ka prodrug है terlipressin. V2 receptor are more sensitive to ADH than V1. Alright. Chalo. This one is all about the diuretics and antidiuretics, guys. Now let's talk about this one. Okay. Diuretics then can be useful in renal failure. Abhi to I have told you one. Abhi to I have told you this one. Chalo, tell me the answer. Tell me the answer. Abhi to I told you. What should be the answer of this one? Diuretics that can be used in renal failure. Hmm? That's your furosemide. Very good. 𝘂𝙀𝘎 very good. Now, identify the diuretic drug which is epithelial sodium channel blocker. Epithelial sodium channel blocker. Torsemide, triamterene, spironolactone or methazolamide. Which one? ये भी बहुत simple है. Very simple question. Again, very simple question. Identify the diuretic drug which is an epithelial sodium channel blocker. Torsemide, triamterene, spironolactone or methazolamide. Which one is it? That's your triamterene. Very good. Very good. Now, urea. Urea is your potassium sparing diuretic, loop diuretic, carbonic anhydrase inhibitor, or osmotic diuretic. Simple. Very simple. Again, mannitol is also a that kind of category from where urea is belongs. That's your osmotic diuretics, right? Chalo. High ceiling diuretic. High ceiling means highly efficacious. Indapamide, clopamide, acetazolamide, or torsemide. Which one? Simple, very simple. Again, from where the furosemide belongs. From where the furosemide belongs. Hmm. That's your torsemide, right? So, which of the following does not belong to the class of high ceiling loop diuretics? कौन सा लूप डायरेक्ट इसमें नहीं है इसमें से फिरोसामाइड ब्यूमेटानाइड एसिटाजोलामाइड और टॉर्सेमाइड चलो कम ऑन फाइन फास्ट 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 that's your acetazolamide very good that's your carbonic anhydrase inhibitor right chalo spironolactone is a diuretic that acts as loop of Henle distal converted tubule proximal tubule ascending loop of Henle बताओ कहाँ पे काम करती है spironolactone very simple again hmm spironolactone aldosterone antagonist potassium sparing diuretic so obviously that's going to be your DCT right chalo that's your potassium sparing diuretic furosemide eplerenone ethacrenic acid hydrochlorothiazide which one very simple potassium sparing diuretic furosemide eplerenone ethacrenic acid hydrochlorothiazide that's your B correct 𝘂𝙀𝘎 and Aryan B very good chalo this one that's gonna be again your B eplerenone right eplerenone spironolactone candrinone that's your potassium sparing diuretics okay which of the following drug is an aldosterone antagonist again you have got the same question chlorothiazide spironolactone furosemide or triamterene that's going to be your spironolactone right so which of the following drugs are direct renin inhibitor and potassium sparing diuretic respectively okay ये तो बताओ which one is it L-ascarin furosemide telmisartan amiloride L-ascarin eplerenone captopril spironolactone which one chalo come on fast hmm. chalo come on fast direct renin inhibitor uh-uh that is not B L-ascarin and eplerenone होगा C वाला ऑप्शन है ना टेल मी सर्टेन amiloride तो नहीं होगा राइट चलो Loop diuretics inhibits sodium potassium 2 chloride primarily in think ascending limb, descending limb, distal tubule, all of the above. Which one? Primarily in thick ascending loop, descending loop, distal tubule, all of the above. Simple, 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 simple. Mm-hmm. Chalo, come on, last question again. That's the last question. Thick ascending loop of Henley, right? Thick ascending loop of Henley. That's correct. Aryan, Mangesh. Okay, that's it for today. Not today. अभी तो बहुत सारा क्वेश्चन बाकी है हमारे पास, है ना? 7 p.m. पे एक और सेशन होगा सेम, है ना? In which we'll be doing GIT drugs, and at 9 p.m. we'll be doing another model paper, right? And that will do at 7 p.m. at 9 p.m. respectively. So do join over there as well, guys. And that's it for this one, this session. I hope this must be very much helpful for you and might kind of the revision kind of a thing for you guys. Thank you so much for joining and all the very best. Happy Holi again.